Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are diving into a couple of awesome, short, level up English lessons from the channel English with Friends. You know the one with that super catchy viral intro? Welcome to English with Friends with Mark and Sarah. Well, Mark and Sarah, who always speak so slowly and clearly, have a fantastic mission for us today. We're going to upgrade your everyday English by targeting literally one of the most common, kind of lazy linguistic habits we all fall into. It's this tiny four-letter word that just sneaks right into our sentences and quietly robs them of their punch. Today, we're cutting out the word very and swapping in vocabulary that actually commands attention. So let's get right into it. Are you tired of sounding, well, very boring? Honestly, think about how often you use the word very as a crutch. You know the feeling, right? You've got this great story to tell or a really strong emotion to express, but instead of finding that exact perfect word, you just kind of slap very in front of a basic adjective. Like, oh, it was very good, or I was very mad. Relying on very absolutely dilutes the true power and precision of our speech. It just waters down our descriptions completely. It basically signals to the listener that we couldn't quite be bothered to find the word that actually matches the intensity of what we're feeling. But here is the exact shift we're going to make today, and it's a real game changer. Compare using very plus a basic word, where it takes two weak words to do honestly a pretty mediocre job, with using just one single powerful word. By swapping out those two repetitive words for one extreme adjective, you instantly make your sentences so much more dynamic. You're going from sketching a rough, blurry outline to painting a vivid, high-definition picture for whoever's listening to you. It is an instant, overnight upgrade to your communication skills. All right, part one, upgrading your physical states. Let's see how Mark and Sarah tackle this. We're constantly talking about how our bodies are feeling, right? But saying, I am very tired, it just naturally sounds flat. It's monotone, it totally lacks energy, and honestly, it doesn't tell a story. But when you say you are exhausted, wow, I mean, you can almost literally hear the breath leaving the body. It packs a huge punch and tells the listener that your battery is completely, absolutely at zero. Let's look at exactly how Mark and Sarah use this in their level up lesson. They say, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Notice that repetition there. Connecting this to real-world usage, when you are truly drained, repeating the word exhausted conveys this genuine, palpable sense of physical depletion. You wouldn't normally say, I'm very tired, I'm very tired. It doesn't land the same way, does it? Exhausted carries the heavy weight of a long day right inside the word itself. Now, let's see how this builds with our next physical state, which actually kicks off part two of their lesson series. Sure, saying you're very hungry communicates a need for food, but swapping in the word starving, that adds immediate urgency. Think about it. Very hungry means, I should probably look at a menu soon. Starving means if I don't get a sandwich in the next 5 minutes, it's going to be a total disaster. It instantly raises the stakes. Again, looking directly at the source's practical application, they emphasize, I'm starving. I'm starving. Adopting this word makes your physical needs sound so much more compelling. Picture this. You're sitting at a table with friends and you say, I'm very hungry. They might just finish their conversation before even asking for the check. But if you say, guys, I'm starving, someone is grabbing a menu immediately. It prompts action because the word itself is just so strong. For our final physical state here, let's contrast very cold with freezing. Now, very cold is basically just a temperature reading, right? It's clinical. It's boring. But freezing? That paints a completely different, far more vivid picture. When you say freezing, your listener instantly visualizes shivering, chattering teeth, desperately wrapping up in layers. You aren't just giving them raw data anymore. You are giving them an experience. And look at this specific little anecdote from the source material. It's freezing outside my apartment. This places the vocabulary right into a super everyday, relatable context. I mean, we've all been there, right? Standing outside, instantly regretting our co-choice. By using freezing instead of very cold, the speaker instantly puts the listener right there on that icy sidewalk with them. It's highly visual and super effective. Okay, moving right along to the next big category, expressing intense emotional reactions. So now that we've leveled up how we describe our physical bodies, let's shift gears over to emotions. Because let's face it, emotions are the absolute core of great storytelling, whether you're pitching a big idea at work or just recounting a wild weekend to your friends. An extreme adjective is simply a word that already contains the idea of very right within its meaning. And that is exactly why these replacements are so incredibly effective. They carry way more emotional weight because the intensity is built right into their core definition. You literally don't need a booster word like very because the adjective itself is already operating at maximum capacity. Let's contrast our first emotional pair, jumping back to the second half of Mark and Sarah's part 1 listen. When someone uses the weak descriptor very funny to describe a movie, you expect maybe a few polite chuckles. But hilarious, that is so much more expressive and lively. Hilarious promises tears in your eyes and an absolute pain in your stomach from laughing so hard. Showcasing the source's natural conversational flow, we see them use it like this. Oh, that's hilarious. It was hilarious. Just think about how that sounds in a real conversation. It perfectly demonstrates how this single word elevates a reaction from a simple, polite acknowledgement to genuine, infectious amusement. When you use a word like hilarious, your enthusiasm just naturally becomes contagious to everyone else in the room. And our final emotional upgrade, wrapping up their part 2 lesson, is a really powerful one. Saying you're very angry can sometimes sound a little bit juvenile, right? Almost like a toddler throwing a tantrum. But furious? Oh man, that word commands respect and attention. It illustrates a level of white-hot anger that the word very simply cannot match. It's formidable. Pointing back to the source again, look at how they apply this word to different subjects. I was furious, she was furious. This is brilliant because it powerfully establishes a really tense emotional atmosphere in a narrative. Think about it. If you're telling a story and you just drop the line, she was furious, your listener immediately leans in. The stakes are instantly raised, the tension is palpable, and everyone desperately wants to know what happens next. That, right there, is the magic of a precise word. All right, part 3, mastering your new vocabulary. Let's do a quick final wrap-up. It's time to synthesize these 5 precise adjectives so they are completely locked in and ready for your everyday use. Let's review. From now on, when you feel very tired, you're going to say exhausted. When you see something very funny, you'll call it hilarious. When someone makes you very angry, you are furious. When you are very hungry, you are starving. And finally, when the weather is very cold, it is freezing. Literally, these 5 simple swaps will completely change the entire texture of your speech. I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. If you were to eliminate the word very from your vocabulary entirely, starting today, how much more powerful will your voice become tomorrow? By actively shaping your words, you actually shape how you are perceived by the world. Speak with precision, paint those vivid pictures, and please, never settle for being just very anything ever again. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to dive into our next topic with you.